Alrighty. Well, I'm going to start with a little intro about myself. My name's Jake Potter. I'm a chocolate maker. That is my just biggest hobby. I love making chocolate, but in my daytime job, I'm a chiropractor. That's my education, that's my background. And throughout my process of being a chiropractor, I've become a certified breath and meditation coach. And that kind of has helped guide me to where I am today. And I love doing meditation and breath work and just talking about the human body, the mind and spirit and physical body all intertwined, which makes us us. So we're gonna kind of dive into all of that a little bit today, and we're gonna tie chocolate into it, which this class is just me putting all my passions together. So thank you for indulging me with all that I get to do. Does anybody have any experience with meditation or breath work, or is this gonna be kind of new? Some meditation, all right. How about here? I am, all right. This is okay. This class is for everyone, and you don't have to have any specific background in it, but I just wanted to see what I was working with here a little bit. So at its very base, breath work is a way to connect our mental self and our physical self. And with all of that, there comes in some spiritual self. When I'm talking about our spiritual self, we all have our kind of values that we live by. And if we are not living our values, that is spiritually disruptive to our whole system. And if we're living our values, so a lot of people will associate spirituality with religion, and that certainly can be a part of it. If your values are coming from a religious perspective and you're not living them, there's going to be some dissonance, some disconnect there. But so whether your values are religious or not, just whatever your driving values are, that's your spiritual health. So whether it's good or bad. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about spiritual health. But most of this time I'm going to be connecting mental with physical, and there's spiritual mixed into that as well. But our mental health is what's happening in the brain, and a lot of that comes from hormones and chemicals, and a lot of it is subconscious. We're not thinking about, I'm depressed, it's just we are depressed. Or I'm not thinking about, I'm feeling really happy right now, we just are really happy. That's happening subconsciously. But we can impact that a little bit through, first of all, things we do. We can put ourselves in environments that make us happier or sadder or mad or whatever it may be. But we can also connect to that with our breath. Our breath is always happening subconsciously. We're not thinking about it, but we're always breathing. Or we can think about it and consciously breathe in and out, slower or faster. And so that's a way we can connect those two together. And when we are stressed or nervous, or we start breathing faster and we start hyperventilating, if you can catch that and slow down your breath, it'll also slow down your heart rate and make you feel calmer. Our bodies are always trying to find homeostasis, which is this balance, this yin and yang. If you're thinking of like that Chinese symbol, we're always trying to find that balance. And so our bodies are constantly tugging and pulling between our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is our fight or flight response. So if we get jolted and someone scares us, we get that. Our heart starts beating faster, which sends blood flow to our muscles so we could run or we could fight or we could deal with a stressful situation. A lot of people are stuck in that slightly more fight or flight sense. So they're not constantly running away from danger or fighting, but their body's ready for it. And that puts them at edge, and that can cause some health problems in the body. So we want to try and tone that down. And then parasympathetic is also called our rest and digest. So that's what keeps us calm. We're better at digesting food when we're not stressed. We're better at relaxing and recovering from things when we're not stressed. So if we're stuck in that fight or flight, we're not going to heal as well. We're not going to digest our food as well. There's going to be other problems involved with that. And then on the parasympathetic side, that rest and digest side, if we're stuck too far in that, you can go too far the other way. You might be too sluggish. You might not have the energy to do what you need to do. And I'm very generalizing these things. There's a lot more going on in our body than just these two systems fighting against each other, but that's kind of what we're going to focus on today. I want each of you to try this little breath experiment. This is called Breath of Fire. It's actually a yoga breath exercise, and it's actually to energize you. I'll explain it first. You're going to breathe out through your nose very sharply and in through the mouth quickly, but you're going to focus on the out breath through your nose. So I'll show you. Mine's whistling a little bit right now, and you might as well, but do that, do 10 breaths like that and just notice what's happening in your body. The goal here is to notice what you notice. That's meditation. Meditation is noticing that you're noticing or feeling that you're feeling. It's not getting rid of all thought. It's just being aware of your awareness. So try and get into that meditative state while you're blowing out quickly through your nose. That's going to put us a little bit more into our sympathetic fight or flight mode, but intentionally. And see what that does to your body. Your heart rate might pump up a little bit. So go ahead on your own time, do that. 10 breaths or so out through the nose quickly. It's kind of goofy.
Where does the inhale happen?
What's that?
Where does the inhale happen?
You can breathe in through your mouth. It's a very quick cyclic breathing, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just to see what kind of a quick exhale does through the nose. And so did you feel some changes? It might actually make you feel a little more like aware and energized, like, oh, I could go run a marathon now. Like I'm ready. I've psyched myself up a little bit. And that was through controlling your breath. Your body was like, I am breathing in a way that I must be in my fight or flight. And it kind of kicked on your other senses. You might feel a little tingling in some other areas in your body as blood flow is going to places to prepare for whether it's fight or flight or what it may be. And usually I don't recommend doing these contrastingly a lot because we're putting our body through a lot of things. But now we're going to do an exercise that's helpful in falling asleep. We're not going to go through the whole process, but I want you to see what happens to your body. I'll explain it again. You're going to take a few deep breaths, and then you're going to breathe out and hold your breath out for a count of 15 in your head. If you need to breathe sooner than that, that's fine. But let's just see what happens to your heart rate as you breathe out and then let it hold out for 15 seconds. Play around with that for a moment. Any thoughts on how that made you feel, doing that little, or either of them, the breath of fire or this kind of calming exercise? It's fun to see, and that's just a very short intro to how you can use your breath to influence how you're feeling. And it doesn't mean it's perfect. It doesn't mean anytime I'm feeling a negative way, I can immediately pull myself out of it, because that's not how our brain chemistry works. We can't fix everything all the time, but it's a way that you can, it's a tool to incorporate into your life to either get psyched up for something. I wouldn't use that breath of fire all the time. In one of the classes I took, they called it coffee breath, and then they call the other style whiskey breath. So one of them, can help you kind of calm down. One of them can help you get psyched up. But just like with coffee, if you're using it constantly all the time, it's going to diminishing returns. You're not going to get as much benefit from that. And same with whiskey. If you have to use that whiskey breath all the time to calm down, it's not going to do as much good as if you just need it in an extra stressful situation or in a situation where you need to get some extra oomph into you. So we're going to jump now. Well, first of all, any questions or comments about either of those?
Feeling your muscles almost. Yeah,
sure.
both ways.
Get to calm it down. And every person's different as well. So we're all at different levels of downness or upness, sympathetic, parasympathetic, and then everywhere in between. It's a full spectrum of how we're feeling. This is the chocolate meditation.
Yes.
All right. Come on in.
He's the one with the red rocks chocolate.
Yeah. So we just discussed the difference between our body's fight or flight response and our rest and digest response, and how we're trying to get rid of that stressful response and dive into more of a restful state. And I'm going to bring up one more thing talking about those two systems. We have a nerve called the vagus nerve. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Vagus comes from a root word that means vagabond. It was named because when early anatomists were teasing apart the nerves, they were like, this nerve's going all over the place. It's just wandering everywhere. It's a vagabond. So they called it the vagus nerve. It runs straight from our brain. It doesn't come out of the spinal cord. It goes straight from the brain down the back of our throat. And then it starts sending out feelers to the heart, to the lungs, to our gut, and it goes all the way down into our pubic area. And its fingers are very helpful in our parasympathetic or the rest and digest side of things. So it helps us calm down. If we're really, really stressed and we can stimulate that vagus nerve, it'll help us calm down. One easy way to stimulate it is to hum. And if you think about this, this may be one reason. I imagine that early meditators or monks who were going Om, they probably, maybe they had, but they probably hadn't dissected a human body and seen this nerve going all over the place, and they think we should stimulate that by humming. But they did notice that Om, making this sound and vibration in the throat, is very calming to the body. So we're going to tweak that just a little bit today. At the end of each of our chocolate samples, we get to go, and that humming is gonna help. And it can be as long and drawn out as you can make it, and it's gonna help calm down our system after we've tasted some great chocolate. So those are some things we're gonna incorporate into this chocolate meditation. Now, not just with chocolate, but anytime we're eating, if we do it a little more mindfully, we get more enjoyment of our food. We also eat less, which, especially Americans, we like to overeat, and I overeat all the time. Especially if I'm eating mindlessly, I eat a lot more. If we pay attention to what we're eating, it can help with not just weight loss, but just body awareness. It can bring us into a better state of feeling, a better state of being. And that's kind of the goal of the meditation as well, is to bring us into that state. So we've learned some principles of meditation. I'm going to go over my process of tasting chocolate, and then we're going to taste 2 samples, and I'm going to walk you through one of them, and then the second one you get to do all on your own, however you want, and incorporate whatever aspect you want. So, any questions about the meditation and breathwork side of things? Yeah.
The second one for the parasympathetic, 15 seconds. How would you compare that to box breathing?
Yeah, box breathing is incorporating that same principle. Since you're slowing down, a box breath is if you breathe in for the same amount of count. So let's say 4. You breathe in for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and hold your breath for a count of 4 out. And doing that cyclical box breathing really helps calm the system down. So the one I said where you just hold your breath out for 15 seconds was mostly just for this demonstration. But that's a good technique you can use anytime. Because first of all, let's say you're in a stressful situation at work. It might be kind of weird to go sit in a corner and hum. You can, it's fine. But you could always, nobody will notice if you're just sitting there and doing that box breathing. In for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, out for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4. And it doesn't have to be 4. You can do 6 seconds, 7 seconds, whatever feels good for you at the moment. That'll help kind of center you and ground you and bring you back into that parasympathetic state. That's helpful. I talked about the homeostasis. All day long, we're fighting between the two. And actually breathing out stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, and breathing in stimulates the sympathetic. So even every time we're breathing, we're getting a little, if we were to monitor your heart rate, it would be a little bit faster when you're breathing in and a little bit slower when you're breathing out. That's just constantly happening. It's a give and a take, a push and a pull. So if you're really trying to calm down, box breathing's great, but you could even also shorten it where your out breath is longer and you're holding it, and then you might breathe in fast and then out breath longer. That could be another way. And then there are all sorts of different techniques with the breath to connect to your body's ability to just remain calm, or again, to psych it up if you need to get a little extra energy. But box breathing is a great technique. I like that a lot. So we'll incorporate some of that into the meditation. And when we're doing the meditation, we'll have our eyes closed, and the goal is to be aware of your awareness. So it's kind of goofy, but think what you're thinking and feel what you're feeling, but you're not doing it mindlessly, you're doing it very mindfully. So my process with chocolate, we're going to use all of our senses. Depending on the size of the piece you get, you'll be able to break it, and you'll be able to hear a snap with the break. But I would smell it, hear the snap, and then when we start the meditation, you'll put it in your mouth and just let it melt for a little while on your tongue. And then as it's melting, notice what you notice, feel what you feel, see what flavors come out, see what happens inside your mouth. And I'm not going to guide you to those flavors. Our palates are all different. They've been trained by our experiences with food in the past, with any food, smells, flavors, and those are different for each of us. So I might really enjoy this really fruity Madagascar piece of chocolate. And to me, it tastes like cherries and raspberries and fresh fruits. And then someone else might try it and be like, ooh, I don't like that at all. It reminds me of guava, and I hate guava. And I might be like, oh, I've never even tasted guava, so I didn't get guava out of that because I don't know what that tastes like. And it's just our own palates. And oftentimes that flavor, first of all, there isn't cherries in that Madagascar. There's just something in it that reminds me of cherry. That's what my palate remembers. And oftentimes it's something nostalgic. Like, it's not just cherries, it's grandma's cherry pie sitting in her cozy basement or something. Like it's a memory that brings you back. And that's why sometimes it might be negative. It's like, oh, I didn't like grandma. So when I'm eating that cherry pie, it reminds me of bad times, or man, I just loved going to grandma's house. So that it's not that you're thinking that, but that might be why subconsciously you taste that and you're like, ooh, I don't like that. Whereas the person next to you says, oh, that's the best chocolate I've ever eaten. So there isn't, in the chocolate world, there isn't a clear winner. There are certainly some bars that more people like than not, and those ones go on to win awards and have good things going on. But even that chocolate, someone doesn't like it. It's just not their favorite, not their cup of tea. Something with their past or with just their palate in general isn't getting that same enjoyment out of it as somebody else. So there's no right or wrong answers with the flavor notes. So I'm not going to tell you, taste cherry. I'm going to tell you, see what happens and see what happens in your palate. Now, that being said, if I said taste cherry, your brain is looking for that, and you'll probably taste cherry more than if I hadn't said cherry. I should stop saying cherry. Neither of these, I'm not trying to guide you here. These aren't necessary. Neither of these are Madagascar. So you can go try. Plenty of makers out there have a Madagascar bar. But we're going to start with one, and I will walk you through a little bit, and we'll kind of go through it mindfully. And then we'll switch to a second one, and that one I'm going to leave you all on your own. We'll give you maybe about 5 minutes with that, just to be quiet. You can have eyes open or closed as long as you're trying to be mindful. And if you ever feel like your mind is wandering, oh, I've stopped noticing what I'm noticing, connect to your breath, start consciously breathing, and that will bring you back to the present moment, and that will help you finish up the meditation. So I'm going to pass out, what do I do first? I'm going to do Thailand first. So this is a 70% dark chocolate bar. The cocoa beans come from Thailand. Now each of these bars, they have a little slit in the corner. That'll help you tear into it. Oh. I'll put these ones up here. So grab one piece, and then you're welcome to open it right away, but don't enjoy it just yet. But I want to make sure that you all get it open from that little slit. If not, I might need to go find a pair of scissors. Now, before we enjoy this, do we have any questions or comments or anything that we need to focus on right now? Doing okay? Okay. Well, then I'm going to, let's get them all open. Now, before we get started, I'll again walk through the plan. We're going to feel it in our fingers, smell it, break it and hear the snap, and do it all slowly, mindfully. Notice what you notice, hear what you hear, feel what you feel, smell what you smell, taste what you taste, all the fun things. And then it'll melt on your tongue for a while. Once it's melted and you're starting to get that experience, you're welcome to finish it however you want, whether it's chewing it up or just continuing to let it melt. But let's now, does anybody not have the chocolate open yet? Okay, we're still working on it.
I get it.
All right.
It's gone.
Well, you got it all melted now.
That'll be a good start.
You still can't get it open.
So we're gonna see if this can be the most mindfully you've ever eaten chocolate. That's the goal, and then you can take that with you. It doesn't have to be chocolate. That's how you can mindfully enjoy anything, and just see how that changes your experience with chocolate, with food, or if you're in a stressful situation and you just need to calm down, connect to that breath and let it go. So your eyes can be open or closed, whichever you prefer. I like to close my eyes too because it helps get rid of other distractions, but do what you do, and if you get distracted, connect back to that breath. So start with a nice deep breath and then go through this process. You can kind of follow along with me, although I'm not going to feel bad if you skip ahead or do your own thing. Make sure you get a good smell of that chocolate. See how it smells. If you've got a piece that you can snap open, give it a little snap. Hear the sound. Continuing to breathe, connect to your breath. A nice slow breath, consciously breathing so that you're connecting to that mind and body sense of controlling your breath instead of letting it be subconscious. And as you're experiencing the sensation of touch, sound, and smell, you can place that piece of chocolate in your mouth And notice what you notice as it begins to melt. You might notice texture changes, different flavors and smells touching your palate, continuing to breathe through nose or mouth, whatever is better for you. Maybe see what changes with your mouth open or closed as you continue to play with the flavors in this Thailand bar. Let that chocolate continue to melt. And as it's melting, swallowing here and there, chewing if you wish, savoring, enjoying, or not enjoying. There's no right or wrong answer. It's a journey. Not all journeys are positive. And not all are negative. Notice what you notice. Feel what you feel. Continuing to breathe. As you finish that piece of chocolate. Stay connected to your breath for a moment as any flavors continue to linger on your palate, smells in your nose. Continuing to notice what you notice and feel what you feel. If any distractions arise, continue to connect with that breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you have finished that piece of chocolate and that meditation session, feel free to continuing to breathe, but start wiggling around a little bit. Move what you need to move and come back to the present moment. And feel free to comment, whether it's flavor notes you found in the chocolate or a note on the experience, something that you noticed during that brief chocolate meditation.
Tell you.
Yeah, say it all out if you want to. Nobody has to share, but
Some tanginess.
okay.
I can't detect the specific fruit flavor or whatnot. Some tanginess.
Sure.
Silky smooth and lingering.
And lingering. Very fun. That Thailand, maybe I'll tell you, we all have different palates. I'll tell you what my flavor notes are in a moment, but anything else jump out to you during that meditation?
Definitely a silky, smoothie feeling. But, it never snapped, so I didn't hear anything.
Okay, a silky smoothie, no snap.
No.
Very fun. Any comments on the experience in general? So we've got that the texture, at least from two sources, seemed to be silky and smooth. We've got some sourness, some tartness.
So much cherry.
No. Cherry jading the experience, sorry. The way my palate interpreted that sourness was a balsamic vinegar. So I didn't pinpoint any specific fruit either. It was like it's sour and tangy, but it's not a citrus fruit. That's what I wrote on my tasting notes was a balsamic vinegar and then maybe some spices. I didn't have any specific spices in mind, but maybe some warm, almost cinnamony type of things. But that's where my palate took me. That's what the memories of my brain and tasting experiences took me when I tried the Thailand bar. All right. Any other thoughts on Thailand or the experience in general? All right. Well, if there's no more right now, then I'm going to give you, we'll pass out now Haiti. This chocolate comes from Haiti. And we'll go through that same experience, but this time I'm going to shut my yapper and there's going to be background chatter. Again, that's just a distraction. If you get distracted by it, go back to your breath. Try not to focus on it, but I don't know, someone's phone might ring, something might happen. That's okay. That's not going to meditation doesn't, let's say you're meditating for 20 minutes, you don't fail if you get distracted in there. The point is just to be mindful for some of the time. And this is kind of an aside, but there was a study done about sleeping and meditation, and meditating actually gives you more rest kind of minute for minute than sleeping does for most people. Some people sleep a lot better than others, but the act of meditating is actually more restful to the body. You still need sleep. It can't replace sleep, but just minute for minute, doing a 5-minute meditation can give you a better return on your 5 minutes than trying to sleep for 5 minutes. But even that aside, if you're ever struggling to sleep and you decide to get up and go do something, you actually do get better rest by trying to sleep than by not trying to sleep. That kind of sounds like it's self-explanatory, but if you can't sleep and you're just trying to sleep for hours, that's still better than getting up and cleaning the house as far as resting your body. That you get better benefit almost as if you were sleeping, even if you weren't, by trying to sleep the whole time. So that's kind of a tangent, but I don't know, it was on my mind. Does everybody have that Haiti bar open? Okay, I'm gonna set a 5-minute timer. Go ahead and enjoy it however you want with any of the practices we've talked about, and we'll keep it as quiet as possible for those 5 minutes. But there will be distractions. Just return to your breath when that happens. my voice will start bringing you back. Continue to breathe and notice what you notice. And we're going to end with a collective 3 good breaths in, followed by as long of a as you can hold. They don't have to be synchronous. Go ahead and take 3 good breaths in, and then followed with a Do 3 of those. Nice and long. And a third. And when you've done your 3 mms, then go ahead and wiggle around a little bit. Open your eyes and come back to the present moment. Letting that vibration stimulate that vagus nerve if you want to think about it kind of scientifically, but if not, that just helps calm your system down, bring you more into that parasympathetic rest and digest state, helping let that be a little bit more in control than that fight or flight stressful state. These are just a few fun, simple tools that we could dive deep into any of these areas: chocolate tasting, breath work, meditation, all sorts of things. But before we ask for those questions, I want to hear any thoughts about Haiti. What came up to you during that meditation?
A little bit of saltiness,
Okay,
fleeting. Melted very
fleeting.
quickly.
So it didn't last. It didn't linger as long as maybe that Thailand bar did. Okay. Any other
And
thoughts?
Opposite.
Opposite. Okay.
Yeah, it stayed.
Stuck around.
It stayed. Yeah, it did not melt very fast.
Hmm.
It's in there a really long time.
Interesting. Very cool. So different experiences, and that's A-okay. Again, no wrong answers. And maybe some of that melt was slightly different body temperatures that caused that differently. Slightly different amounts of saliva or amylase in our saliva that starts breaking down the food as we're eating it. Almond? I heard almond. That's very fun. Any other thoughts on Haiti or that experience with the Haiti chocolate on your own? Raspberry? Okay. Yeah. I can get some berry notes at the end. That one to me is kind of fun. Some of them hit you right off the bat with some fruit. I do get some fruitiness in this one, but the chocolate notes, with chocolate, it's kind of funny to say it tastes like chocolate because of course it's chocolate. But if you think about chocolate you've had, does it taste like cocoa powder? Does it taste like chocolate cake? Does it taste like chocolate ice cream? Those are different flavors of chocolate. And for me, Haiti was like chocolate ice cream. It was kind of a different kind of chocolate flavor. And so that's kind of where that took me a little. And then I also got some fruitiness too, yeah.
One that kept coming to mind was it was like burnt orange. And I
Burnt orange.
Why that?
Sure. No, that.
It was a very strong sensation.
So that could certainly be some form of bitterness. Anything burned usually makes us think of bitter, and then orange itself is also a little bitter. So that burnt orange, that's not, and again, that's not, it could be a negative thing depending on your experience with maybe a burnt orange type of sensation, but positive or negative, it's the experience. That's one thing that I like to highlight with any chocolate journey. Everyone enjoys different things. Our palates are different, and that doesn't, even if it's something that you don't enjoy, it's still a journey. Just like life has brought you to today, you've had positive and negative experiences that makes you you. One of my favorite chocolate bar experiences actually was, it's not very good. The maker's not here, so I won't tell you. I'll just tell you about the bar. I won't tell you who made it. But it was the chocolate maker's attempt to put an experience in a sauna into a bar. So it was very smoky. It was a smoke sauna. He was like, I love going in the smoke sauna, so I'm making this bar based on a smoke sauna. I think he smoked the cocoa beans. He added some essential oils that were, birch oil and some other things. And it was a very interesting bar. I've shared it with some friends and they spit it out. They didn't like it at all. But it's just an experience. It's a journey. It's a story. And kind of like poetry isn't there to make you always feel loved and freely and good. Sometimes it's hard. It's a very hard topic in this beautiful piece of art, but art is supposed to evoke emotion. It doesn't have to be a positive emotion. So if you think about chocolate as an art, if you get a piece that you don't like, you can still think, what story is it telling, and what am I feeling because of this piece of art that I've just enjoyed, or not enjoyed, whatever it is. What feelings come to mind? So that sauna bar that I'm mentioning, it was a poem. It was beautiful, even if it maybe didn't taste that good, or to most people's palates. I actually do kind of enjoy that bar. I still have some at home, and my wife and I will break into it every once in a while. But it's a story. It's poetry. It's art, and just like any art, it doesn't have to make you feel good. Some art, the goal is to make you feel uncomfortable, and as you're working through that journey, and those maybe some uncomfortable flavors pop up here and there, maybe burnt orange, whether it was positive or negative, it's a journey. It's something that you're experiencing, and it's part of the art of this craft thing that you're trying, and that's what we get out here. You've got all sorts of opportunities to try somebody's art that they're presenting to you, and I think that's kind of fun, and it's a fun thing to meditate on, because if it's not enjoyable, you're gonna spit it out, and a lot of people do that with uncomfortable art as well. This book makes me feel uncomfortable. We should ban it from the schools. It's like, it's uncomfortable for a reason. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable because it's a very important topic. But if you need to spit it out right now, that's okay. But don't make everybody spit it out. Let them enjoy that art and do what they need to do, and meditate on it. And we're all in different situations, different experiences. And I might have gotten a little too philosophical with this. That wasn't the goal, but it's kind of fun. Chocolate's art, and we can do with it what we will. And meditation's a fun way to do with any art form. You can be in a museum and meditate on a piece of a painting or a statue. You can be at a chocolate festival and meditate on pieces of chocolate. You can read a book and meditate on a book, or just sit with your own thoughts. That's your body's a work of art as well. You get to meditate on yourself and see what feelings come from that. So that is the end of what I'm going to be spewing about. But I'd love to talk and answer any questions or anything if there's any other thoughts in the room right now.
I think when you said about being uncomfortable for them banning different books, if we're not uncomfortable, how are we growing?
Yeah, that is how we grow.
Right?
That's
Let's
what.
get uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It's fun.
and pushing through, even at its very base level, working out makes people uncomfortable, and that's how you get stronger. If you want to be an Olympic athlete, they've fought through a lot of uncomfortability to get to where they are, and when we get micro tears in our muscles, that's uncomfortable, but when they heal, they're stronger. That is how we grow. And the goal is to keep ourselves adaptable so that we can grow with the challenges. If we're so uncomfortable that we can't adapt to it, that's where we get ill or injured. So if the uncomfortable situation is a car accident's a great example. Our bodies can adapt to doing this, but if it's very sudden and we get whiplash, we have to recover from that. We've been injured. Our body, no matter how adaptable it was, couldn't overcome that stressor, and now we're injured. We can heal though and get stronger from it, but if we don't let it heal, maybe we're chronic roller coaster riders and I'm always doing this, and maybe I've just always got a headache and I don't know why. Maybe it's because you're never letting the muscles in your neck heal up and grow from that experience. You're not letting yourself learn from it. You just keep adding a stressor on. And so in life, same thing. If we're in a stressful situation that we can't really get out of, there's going to be injury or illness that comes from that. So trying to be as adaptable as possible. Meditation helps our body adapt because we're toning down that stress response and bringing up that rest and digest. That's where healing happens. If we're stuck in stress, we're not going to be able to overcome the challenges of life as easily. So it's a good tool to have around, some form of mindfulness. It doesn't have to be meditation, sitting in the corner, but just some form of mindfulness, breath work, meditation, whatever it may be. Some type of ritual that calms you down will help with all stress.
I toured Woodford Reserve Distillery in Kentucky a few years ago.
Okay.
And after you take the tour, they would bring you in a little shop and they would give you a shot of Woodford Reserve and 2 pieces of chocolate.
Okay.
And you would just take a sip, and then they would have you eat part of the chocolate. And once it was dissolved, they'd have you take another sip. Totally changed the flavor.
Yeah.
Because of the sugars in the chocolate. But they had a round chart on the wall, and it had maple and oak and smoke and cherries and just everything you think of. And that was all the flavors that people over the years had gotten out of
Cool.
the alcohol. And so there was a ton of flavors if you just pay attention to what you were sipping.
Yeah.
and you get all these different flavors.
Well, and the order makes a difference too.
Yes.
That's actually a pretty good analogy for what we've just been talking about. You don't know the person next to you who didn't like that bar. Maybe they'd in life just had a shot of whiskey,
Yes.
and so it really changed
Yeah,
the flavor, and so that experience, that book is too uncomfortable for me right now. I didn't like it. Or, man, that was really good, and you're like, really? I didn't like that at all. It's just different life situations are coating your life's palate differently than everyone around you. So you can't really judge the person next to you because they're just completely different. It's a different story. It's a different life experience. And then same with the chocolate. Our palates are different, trained by previous things, and that shot of whiskey can really change, or that piece of chocolate can change the whiskey, vice versa, whatever it may be.
I became very aware of how the chocolate enhanced the flavor.
Mm,
And so it was real interesting.
Yeah.
I never would have expected that.
sure. And some of the science behind that is the cocoa butter was coating your tongue differently, holding on to some of the flavanols and flavor compounds in the chocolate. So that was kind of jading your experience with the alcohol, or vice versa, one way or the other. That's really fun. Fun experiences. You can play around with all sorts of things in the food world and in life with just being a little more mindful about life in general. All right. Any other comments or topics of conversation? We've got time if you want it, but if not, we're good either way. All right. Well, I'm going to close out this session. Thanks for joining us for this little chocolate meditation class, and I'm glad you got to be here, and go enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you.